weekend, the latest Predator film, Killer of Killers, drops on Hulu. This is an animated anthology film looking at the Predator taking on the best killers throughout human history. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what did you think about Killer of Killers, and which segment was your favorite? If you don't know, we're getting 2 Predator films this year, both of them from the director of Prey, the Predator film from a few years back. The first of them is Killer of Killers, this animated anthology film, and the second one is Badlands, which is live action set, or it comes out in a few months, and it's set in the future off on a distant planet, and so I'm very curious about how that's going to turn out. With all that said, let's get started with our review. And back about 15 years ago, Predators came out, and in the movie Predators, there's this sequence in the movie where the killers on this predator hunting reserve are on the run, and one of them pauses, pulls out a samurai sword, and decides to have a showdown with the predator. And it's a fun little battle in the movie. And of course, the guy does not survive his encounter. But it kind of put this idea in people's minds where you kind of went, oh, like, what if we really did that? Like, what if we did Predator versus Samurai? And it kind of goes back, 15 years, kind of this idea's been out there of what if the Predator took on the best killers from different cultures and different points in time. And that's not what the next Predator movie was at all. But what they did do with Prey is, let's have the Predator, what was going on several hundred years ago, and had a Predator that's a little bit more primitive take on Native Americans. And so you get the thrills, you get the edge of your seat excitement, but in a different cultural context, where the Predators have different technology, and of course the humans have different technology and different tactics and different ways they interact with each other. And so you get the Predator experience, but you get it from a very different perspective, so it doesn't feel like we're just rehashing the original film. And it once again continued that idea of your mind of like, all right, we had the one guy with the sword, now we've done Native American. We can take this concept, let's play this out. And whenever it was, they first announced that they were doing a project, that the murmurs started to spread and it kind of leaked out right before they officially announced it. But they were going to do this anthology film with Predator taking on the best killers in these different cultures throughout time. And a bunch of us went, yes, let's do it. That's a fun way to continue the franchise and play it out in these different scenarios. And that's exactly what this is. We've got 3 main storylines with our 3 different characters, and there actually is a 4th different piece. There's kind of 4 different segments in our story. That's 5. 4 different segments in our anthology film. And the 3 main ones are this Viking over 1,000 years ago, this ninja samurai story several hundred years ago, and then a World War II pilot, in which case you get very different narratives, you get very different cultural context, you get very different weaponry, and each scenario plays out a little differently. So one of them starts with this context of revenge. One of them is a story about 2 men that were extraordinarily close, that separated and kind of come back together. And then one of them is this underdog kid trying to prove himself. Those are 3 wildly different stories, 3 wildly different cultural contexts, 3 wildly different weapon sets, all of them involving talented humans facing off against predators, or a predator. And that's exactly what I wanted. That's when they announced it, that's what I wanted. When I clicked play, that's what I wanted. And that's exactly what they delivered with this film. And with it, the violence is nasty and gnarly, and severed limbs and body parts, guts, organs, slashed against the wall, whatever you want to do. They show you all sorts of nastiness as you kind of go into it. And then, like I said, because the technology is different, the weapons are different in each of our stories. It's different versions of predator carnage as well as human fighting back. other fun one with it is that they have this art style for animation style that it each shot looks like a painting. It's like a painting rendered in 3D. And one of the things I just enjoy about so much animation these days is it's just interesting. They're doing a bunch of cool stuff. And the combination, or what technology is allowing them to do, is bring to life all of these different visual styles, all these different ways that people have been drawing, painting, creating still images with different artistic styles. Technology now allows you now to bring that into animation in a cost-effective fashion. And so you get that here, just something very different. And paintings of predators killing people brought to life throughout human history. That's pretty cool. And then just kind of structurally with it, because you're doing 4 different stories in under 90 minutes, like it's able to move at a real brisk pace. Thematically, it's tied together. It pulls together by the end. There's like a logic to it, and a lore expansion that kind of pulls it all together. But you're kind of like dropping into these little scenarios real quick that, it could be 4 episodes of an animated Predator show that you just kind of get a 20-minute little episode, and beginning, middle, and end, a conflict. That there's a human conflict, there's the predator conflict, there's a resolution, move on to the next one. And so it moves really quickly. It's a very quick 90 minutes with a lot of action, a lot of carnage, and what you want from it. The way that it pulls, kind of gives it a through line and pulls things together, I suppose I liked it well enough that I wasn't like blown away, I didn't fully love it, because it felt like we're straining a little bit of credibility with what it kind of does in the 4th segment. But, and then I was trying to think, like, how does this expansion of the lore, this idea of what we're doing here, how does this tie into what we've seen established in previous movies? And does this cheapen the ending of some of those movies with what is implied here with some of this? Does that maybe provide context for a mechanism by which we could continue some of our other movies in some interesting way in live action? Maybe. Or maybe Killer of Killers 2 could do some really interesting stuff in light of what's implied in the end of the film and in the credit scene. That could be interesting. But there were some things in it where it got a little bit too, it's animated, but cartoonish. There's things that they have characters do. In particular, when you move into the World War II segment and you have this pilot, what he does on the wing of his plane, some of the stuff that happens in the 4th segment, it just felt too cartoonish for the franchise. And it's the sort of thing that you immediately go, okay, if I saw this in live action, would it still play right? Would I immediately go, oh, what? And, a guy repairing his plane, the way that it's done in this, there's a reason you don't really see that in movies. There's a reason that's not really a thing. And so, like, it just does some stuff that just strained too much credibility. That it's like you only get away with it because it's animated. But if you only get away with it because it's animated, maybe you shouldn't have done it. And then likewise, that happens again in the 4th segment with a big creature that appears in it. And they do something and I went, really? We're doing this sort of bit in this franchise? I don't think it fits. So largely, it delivered exactly what I wanted, of just predator carnage throughout cultures, throughout time, with creative animation, a lot of blood and gore, some lore expansion that I didn't love, but I was okay with. It was like, okay, of course we want to do something a little bit different. I'm okay with it. I just wish they hadn't done some of the more over-the-top cartoonish things that are just like, that's a little too silly. That's a little bit too far with what you're doing here. But otherwise, this is a really nice way to expand the world of Predator. This is like, cool, yes, we can keep going to different cultures. You don't have to make a movie about everything, but you can tell a little story. What do you want to do? Cowboys, the Old West. Like, you just go throughout cultures, find killers, and have fun with what would these types of human killers do from this time and this place do with our predators. I like that. Let's do more of it. overall, I just kind of go with a B. It's good. On the entertainment scale, let's go a 7.5 out of 10, and it's worth streaming if you're a Predator fan. Absolutely check this one out. It's a solid entry, didn't fully blow me away. It's not like up there competing with the original. I don't think it's as strong as Prey, but it is a nice addition, and I like having a complimentary sort of thing like this out there. Thanks so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.